the first iteration of Gran Turismo 7 tutorials. So, I posted a video quite a while back about the money grind that I was doing, and I'm going to demonstrate to you guys exactly how I do that. First thing you're going to want to do is get this car from the Brand Central auto shop. It's called the Red Bull X 2014 Junior. You don't have to do any changes, although you should buy racing hards, intermediates, and wets tires. You don't have to do anything else. Downforce, I maxed out. Actually, no, I don't think I changed them at all. Maybe I changed them a little bit, but it doesn't really change that much. You can kind of play around with the downforce settings to get as close to 700 pp as possible. Performance points. If you can get to if you can keep your car below 700 performance points, you should be in good shape. If you guys like this kind of content, please give this video a like and a subscribe. And we'll see you guys every time. Alright, let's take a look. We're gonna pop into, oh, oops. You're gonna go over to the world map, or to the world circuits board. You're gonna go over to the 24-hour Le Mans track, the Circuit de la Sarthe, and you're gonna go to this track, to this racing event called the World Touring Car 700. It's limited by 700 performance points, and it's a 30-minute race. So you're not gonna be doing laps. You're gonna run consistently for 30 minutes, and then you're gonna finish the lap out. Usually it should be around 7 to 8 laps. If it's raining and you end up spinning out and getting bad lap times, you're probably gonna end up with 7. Well, you're gonna finish on the 7th lap. But if you get a really good really good lap times and you don't end up pitting up a lot, you're gonna end up at the 8th lap. So I usually run the race on easy or normal mode, because on hard mode, the CPU are just way too efficient with turns and pitting. But on normal mode and normal and easy modes, normal and easy CPU difficulties, they're pretty simple. Gran Turismo 7. Gran Turismo. So while the event is loading, I'm gonna GT7 money glitch. And this is applicable to the to the current update 1.26. It works perfectly fine, no issues. The thing that's really good about this track is that, about this race with this car, is that now with the new update, changing any of these suspension and differential settings doesn't change your performance points. Of course, nitrous is not allowed. So I'm actually able to tune for the absolute maximum amount of maximum amount of stability. So I have my differential setting set to 33% initial. Level 33 of initial torque. I think that's level, right? Level? Yeah, level. So I have it at level 33 for the initial torque, so at all times it's going to be at a level of 33. Once the acceleration kicks in, it's going to be at a level 40, and then once I'm braking, it's going to be at level 50. This allows me for maximum stability around the corners and when braking. I actually didn't change anything of these. I think I lowered the... Oh, shoot. Yeah, no, I haven't changed any of these suspension settings. I was able to keep them basically stock with the fully customized suspension. It's there by default. I'm pretty sure the default differential settings is like 10, 40, and 20, and it was a little too unstable for me. I turned the front downforce all the way up, and the rear downforce to 520, because that was the most stable that I was able to get it at high speed, especially because it rains halfway through this course. Brake controllers I have at level 4. I have at a mix of 4, so that I can increase my lower my braking distance. All right, so it's gonna calculate my performance. Nothing has changed so far. All right, so start. The race is pretty consistent. It's very, very easy to get very consistent results with this track, especially if you have the CPU on easy. You just fly right past them. I need to lower the volume a little bit. Where's our master settings? They're not here. Hold on a second. Sound and devices. I'm going to lower my headset volume just a little bit because I can't hear myself. Okay, so that's great. That's much better. So right around the race, you're going to start with, what's it? If you want to not pit at all, then you can lower the fuel mix down to probably like 3 or 4. But usually you can be actually really, really aggressive with passing, with overtaking. Because once you can overtake them all, the race becomes actually very, very easy. You take the turns very efficiently and you don't have to worry about it. I usually pit once during the race anyway, so I usually sit on fuel mix 1. So I don't have to worry about, oh, come on, Haywood, what are you doing? Oops. What you really want to do is keep an eye on the weather radar, because it's supposed to rain around lap 2 and 3, in between laps 2 and 3, and that's going to be a little bit difficult to manage. If you can't control the car on racing hards, you're going to have to switch to intermediates or wets. And it's I highly recommend that you switch to heavy wets, especially if you like to go sliding around, because that's when you can start to drift. But for the most part, you're going to be sticking around with these guys. I'm playing on a controller. Unfortunately, I don't have access to a race wheel. If I did, I'd probably be playing on that right now. But you want to keep an eye on that weather radar. You're not really going to see anything for the first two laps, but you'll definitely see the wind, the weather coming in around lap 3. Especially around halfway around lap 2, it'll probably start to roll around. You usually want to switch around lap 3 or 4. But you can get really, really aggressive with these turns, because, well, it's hot in here. Well, let me pause and turn the fan on. It is hot. I need a drink. But as you can see, we've hit 3 minutes on the what's it? We're barely half of the way through, and we're already about 2 minutes. Yeah, we're about 2 minutes through. So actually, this is too high. Sorry. Hold on a moment. Hold on a second. Okay. I renamed it a little bit. Okay. So as you can see, I have the race background music turned off because it kind of gets on my nerves. It distracts me a little bit. So personal preference there. These turns are actually really, really easy. Oh, come on! What are you doing? Healy. Come on, you take those turns so much faster. So I've given a general rundown of these turns of the race overall. I'll give a rundown on the turns upcoming once I don't have damage. A really, really easy way to stay up front and keep those lap times really close is to go just a little bit faster than the game wants you to. So like, see how it wants me to slow down for this little teeny corner over here and downshift? I don't do that, and I slow down for the next one and go sliding. Keep in mind that'll probably be easier with the controller than it will with the wheel. That turn I always suck at. Dang, it's weird listening to the audio with a headset on. The CPU are really, really bad at turns on easy mode, so you can kind of fly right through them. So like over here, it wanted me to go it wanted me to downshift to gear 4, but I'm sitting over here at gear 5, and I can take these turns really, really quickly because this car just has gobs of downforce. Although keep in mind that you will be using a little bit extra fuel with the downforce settings higher. So keep that in mind when you're racing. It's not going to matter too much with the Red Bull 2014, but it will become a pain if you have to pit a lot, especially if you don't adjust the fuel mix. Come on, Portilla. Oh, it's actually McEwen in P1. That's weird. All right, so over here we took position 2. Oops, I'm getting distracted. So we're just about leading in lap 2. Probably in the next corner we'll take position 1. What? McEwen takes that turn faster? The track is pretty forgiving, especially with the inner corners. The outer corners, you have no mercy. They give you absolutely no mercy on the outer corners. But keep in mind that as long as you have a little bit of the car on the board, it's not gonna penalize you for going off the track. So the corners over there, you're gonna want to take a lot of the time you're going to want to be a gear higher than what it says, unless the corners are sharp. So you can see on the weather radar that there's a really, really big cloud of weather coming. What you really want to pay attention to on the weather radar is where the weather is coming, where the weather is going. So you want to see where wind direction is blowing the clouds toward the track. So, I mean, of course, they're not visible within 25-mile radius. We're right now about 75 miles out until it touches us. But you can take these corners. See, like you can take that corner here. It's a good idea to downshift around halfway through the first chicane's apex, because it drops the stability of the rear tires and lets you slide and get a better angle on that turn. Looks like the weather is going to be really thick, so we're going to want to switch to wets on this run. But that'll depend on every single independent race. The amount of rain that's going to hit the track on every race is very, very different. So we're still not within a 25-mile radius. So as you can see, downshifting at the apex of the chicane allowed me to destabilize a little bit extra, especially from the first lap I wasn't able to get that well of a turn. Tires are so far so good. We have about 4 laps, 75% of our fuel left. But of course we're going to have to pit anyway, so we don't need to worry about the fuel. The Red Bull has such a high amount of fuel compared to the rest of the vehicles that it doesn't even matter. The Red Bull will probably go 3 or 4 car lengths without, 3 or 4 laps extra compared to the other vehicles in the entire race on fuel and tire life alone. So you can see our first lap was about a 422. So, well, about a little bit under a 423. So if we do this lap well, we'll probably end up with the fastest lap, especially since we had no cars in the front. And you can really stress out the front tires a lot, because the back tire is going to be taking a lot more of the punishment. This corner is the only one where you're going to want to be lower in gears than the game recommends. It says to get to sit on gear 2, but there's no way to maintain a speed that gear 2 is sufficient. It doesn't have enough power to get you going in acceleration. You're going to want to switch to gear 1 and go a little bit slower just for the extra stability. If you can take the turn to gear 2, great. Fantastic. I'm not capable. I'm not that good at the game yet. So as you can see, it's about to start raining heavily. Oh, we got some green areas on the map. So we're definitely going to want to switch to heavy wets on this run. You're going to want to switch down to gear 4 here at the second chicane in the turn sequence. And we're going to pit here. And we'll swap to heavy wets. Alright, and the pit time is going to be usually a consistent minimum 30 seconds. It'll usually be around 40 to 50 seconds, depending on if you're refueling a lot. The main the main duration. The thing that takes so long is the actual trip to the pit. So as you can see, they're about to take front, but none of them are switching to wet tires. They're all on racing hards or racing softs. So they're going to have a really rough time in the next section, especially since it's raining so heavy. Over here, we're going to want to just refuel all the way to the full. So over here, as you can see on the on the bottom of the screen UI, all the way on the right, all the way on the left, you can see that the tire traction is already starting to be sacrificed. We're already losing a lot of tire traction from the rain. So as you can see, you can just fly past these guys now. None of them have this ability to go any faster than you on this track after you switch to heavy wets. Although, of course, prioritize stability over style. I run this race basically daily, so I'm very, very used to how the turns go, and I'm very familiar with the track. But these guys, since they all didn't switch their tires, they're all going to have stopping zones very, very, very far back. So you're going to want to pay attention to when they slow down so that you don't rear-end any of them. That's going to really stink when you have damage on top of the rain and loss of traction. So over here, look how fast they stop and look how slow they get. Over here, you can probably sit in gear 2. The weather doesn't affect the... The weather doesn't affect the traction of this car that much. Because of because of the downforce, and 2, because tire tread is so long. The only thing you're going to have to worry about now at this point with heavy wets on is when the rain stops, because at that point your tire is going to degrade very, very quickly. Oh lord. And as you can see, McEwen is already spun out. Portilla is in P1. And we'll take position 1 very cleanly after that. And right here is where you're going to build a massive lead. You can see where the end of the rain clouds are. There is a chance that the game will rain a second time in this race, around the very end, around lap 5 or 6, but it's not common. Very, very, very uncommon. And as you can see, they just can't compete. They even if you were on normal mode, if it was raining this much, they wouldn't be able to compete. The CPU can't handle the rain this efficiently. I haven't tried it on hard mode, but considering considering the difficulty level on normal, as you can see, we're already starting to reach the point of no return on traction there. Over here you can downshift 1 and then downshift completely for this one. Turning becomes very difficult, so you're going to want to be very careful around the corners at this point. If you can feel the tire spinning when you're accelerating, let the differential kind of do the work for you. And then let the top end of the gears help you out too. As you can see, we passed through a few green sections of the weather radar. So the track is very, very wet right now, but we're passing into the easier section, and the rain might be over after that. Oh, uh-oh. So you can see it's very, very easy to lose traction on this section of the race. Uh-oh, uh-oh, uh-oh. You'll still be able to go significantly faster than any of the computers, than any of the AI, but you'll have a tough time. You'll have a tough time regardless. But it does, if you have a really good time controlling cars in the rain or in slippery conditions, you'll have a really good time with this. Hey, if you get really, really good at this, you'd be able to do it with racing hard. You wouldn't even have to pit for the on lap 3. Yeah, I know my turning looks a little bit choppy. That's because I have because I'm on a controller and the turning is very sensitive. Here you should be able to take it. Just go ahead, P5, gear 5. Then go on to slow down for this one altogether. As you can see, we're already a full minute ahead of the second place of Portilla in position 2. At this point, I'm just kind of being stylish. You don't have to, you don't have to be as risky as me. If you're a little bit, I have a very bad habit of getting overconfident on these sections and then spinning out. You want to make sure that you definitely do not do that. Portilla is going to pit in P2. He's probably going to lose that spot unless Kawakami and McEwen also pit. Oh, okay, there we go. So everybody's pitting now. They all learned their lesson. And the rain and the track is still wet. Track's probably going to stay wet for the duration of the race. It'll probably dry up consistently around lap 6. Or at least for us. For them, it'll probably be around lap 5. You also want to be careful of your gas consumption. You have a massive amount of fuel. Oh, oops. You have a massive amount of fuel, but if you're going to be sliding around like me, you're going to use a little bit extra gas and a little bit more fuel than you should. It doesn't matter too much considering we have 4 laps of fuel remaining and we'll probably only have 4 laps left. Let's see, 14 minutes of the race left. Alright, so the chicanes are pretty simple really at this point, especially since even if they swap to intermediates or wet tires, they won't be able to catch up even slightly. The lead will only increase, especially on easy mode. If you're on easy difficulty and the CPU don't swap for wet tires, it's over. It's basically over. You'll end up with a 2 or 3 minute lead by the time you're done, if you don't pit again. As you can see, the track is starting to dry up. We're hitting about only half of traction loss here. And we just passed the lap. So around lap 5 it probably should dry up fully, depending on if it doesn't rain again. Looks like it's probably not going to, but it's a good idea to keep an eye on the weather radar anyway, until you hit around lap 6 when it won't have any chance of raining again. And like I said, you should be able to take these corners very aggressively. Even while they're wet, as long as you brake for the really difficult the really difficult corners quickly, you'll have an easy time with the other corners. The smooth corners you can be very aggressive with. It's only these corners that are very sharp that you'd have to worry about. My acceleration timing is kind of shoddy, so take that with a grain of salt. For me, I'm really good at getting into corners, but I'm kind of rough at getting out of them. So over here, we're basically at the full potential of the wet tires. The track is basically completely dried up. So the game wants you to take those corners a lot slower. Even with wet tires, you should be able to take it at a consistent 100, 110 miles per hour. Just it should be like gear 5. What's it? If you have the base transmission on, which you should actually, it shifts a lot better. Then you'll have to sit around what's it? You can sit around gear 5 the entire turn sequence and then swap into, what's it, downshift into gear 4 for the last corner of that section. Can take gear 2 on that section. Don't need to downshift again like the game wants you to. You can see we have 3.5. What's it? We have about 4 laps left. 4 laps of fuel left, but since these laps are taking about 4 to 5 minutes each, we'll probably only have 2.5 more laps left. So we'll hit right around lap 8 is when we'll wrap up. As you can see, we're getting a little head time. We're getting good. But as you can see, the tires are starting to degrade very quickly. They didn't degrade at all from laps 3 and 4, and now we're starting to see some wear. There's another patch of cloud over there, but it looks like it's not going to hit us. Alright, so we're in the straight sequence. These straight sequences are probably going to be the roughest. Oh. And as you can see, I spun out right there. We're still almost about 2 minutes of lead. And I think they're all going to pit soon in the next lap to swap back to racing tires. To racing slicks. Because once the track dries up, there won't be any need to have intermediates on. But even if you spin out on easy mode, there's nothing to worry about. If you spin out on normal mode, you'll have a very, very tough time catching up. I normally don't get distracted like that, but I'm also in the process of explaining. Broke a little bit late there, had a bad angle on that turn. So you're probably not going to have to pay too much attention on the straights. Like over here, you can kind of lazy off and stare at the weather radar and do a little bit of planning. See if you need to swap the tires and stuff like that. But you need to pay attention to your brake indicator, which is why I have it on. It tells me how close I am to the next turn. It's also a good idea to have the racing lines and apex indicators on. Especially for those straights when you start to lose brain cells. You start to get lazy and stop paying attention on those straights, and there's a lot of straights on this track, so. So yeah, that was just to kind of mess around. So let's see, when we pass the next flag bearer, we'll see exactly how we're doing on time. I think we're a little bit slower on this lap because we're just about 15 seconds away from 4 minutes, and we're only just now getting to this section. Over here, at this point, it's up to you whether you want to pit or not. I usually don't because I like to wear my tires all the way down. And it saves time and gets extra laps. And because the tires get really slidey around the quarter tread point for the rear. We're heading 3.1 laps, so we should have plenty of fuel. That might be a penalty. The shortcut penalty on this map is very, very high, so you're gonna want to keep that in mind. Okay, so we're about at 4:35. We're getting better time. We're not getting anywhere close to that 4:20, the 4:22 section anymore, but we're still doing pretty well. Oh, Haywood's in P2. Okay. So that right there was shift lock. That was a shift lock drift. I did that on accident, but great. Uh-oh. Oops. That'll definitely hurt our time. I was trying to be a little bit too fancy and I spun out there. But we're still holding about a 2-minute lead, so we're doing very, very well. We're probably going to end up lapping, what's it, Solis? Probably going to end up lapping Solis by the end of the 7th or 8th lap. Especially since they're very, very close. They're only 2 chicanes up, 3. They're only past the chicanes in the next turn. So as you can see, the corners are very, very forgiving. Okay, so we lost time on that one. We're probably going to hit another 430. But as you can see, these straights are so easy. I'm literally driving with one hand. Don't try that at home. Oh no, don't be a penalty there. It's a little rough to know where the penalties are. You'll still end up getting a clean race bonus with penalties. It just gets a little... What's it? It gets a little rough to manage the penalties when... It gets harder to catch up if you're on normal mode, if you have a lot of penalties. So you're going to want to keep that in mind to take those corners cleanly, but still maintain aggressiveness. Especially if you're able to accelerate one way after, a whole way off the right. What am I even saying? If you're able to accelerate at the perfect moment in the apexes, you'll have a really, really good time getting in and out of corners, especially with the CPU not being able to take them as effectively. If you're on hard mode, good luck. They'll clean you out of the corners. Especially whoever's in position 1. Good way to maintain stability in this car is throttle control and turning. The car doesn't have that wide of a turn radius. But if you're managing which direction your nose is pointing on top of your throttle control, you should be in really, really good shape. So we're about to hit lap 7. We have 2.5 minutes. Those guys are not going to finish this lap before you pass the lap. Before you pass the checkered line. Oh. So over there, I got lazy. I got a little overconfident and thought I could take the corner and push the accelerator and lost through the back end out a little bit more. The tires are starting to get worn. I usually wouldn't pit around here and I would have keep going with the lap, but since we only have one lap left in 2 minutes, we're just going to go ahead and pit. Oh no! I was looking away. No biggie. 55 minutes. Okay, we're gonna swap back to racing hards. The only thing you have to worry about swapping back to racing slicks after the rain is wet patches. If you run into a wet patch with racing slicks, there goes all of your stability. The car will spin out so fast you won't even know. You'll just have to keep that in mind. And if you can control it through the wet patches, fantastic, beautiful. And over here, let's see, we're hitting about 34% fuel. I'm gonna refill the fuel anyway. You don't really need to, because the race is about over. Once you pass the lap line, it doesn't matter whether you hit the line or not. Whether you have fuel or not. But for the sake of engine longevity, you don't want your fuel to get below 20%. I know that's usually like a real world principle for the sake of your fuel pump, but it does also apply to this. It does also apply to Gran Turismo 7 for some reason. I've noticed that my engine oil degrades a little bit faster, probably just self-perception. I've noticed that my engine fuel degrades a lot faster. My engine oil degrades a lot faster when my fuel is low. Usually I can hit around 100 to 150 laps, miles. 100 to 150 miles before my engine oil goes from excellent to normal. But if I'm on, But if I let my fuel get too low and stay too low, like if I consistently leave it at 20% fuel, I notice that I can only get around to like 70 or 80 miles before it degrades again. So probably, I don't know if there's a mechanic behind that, but it might just be my own perception. Oh wow, my lap times are awful. So once McEwen and Portilla pass, they should be done with the race. I don't think they were able to get to the finish line before. I don't think they were able to make the next lap, but we'll see in a second. Okay, yeah, so they didn't make the next lap. So if you can make it a whole lap past the CPU, you'll have a very, very easy time. Like, you can just breeze past this course and try to get your own lap times. You don't have to worry about losing the race. You don't have to worry about losing your clean race bonus. You're basically in good shape. Well, of course, that is unless you start to take shortcuts. So yeah, the rest of the end of the race will be a very easy peasy, complete breeze. Oh, I might have something in the oven. I need to open it. Let's see, we're running on it's about 6:14 p.m. right now. So we're running on good time. Uh-oh. The game will only penalize you for shortcuts if you actually get a time boost from that shortcut. So say you cut a corner and you spin out right there and you lose time, the game's not going to penalize you for shortcutting. But if you cut a corner and you end up getting a second or two off of it, they're going to penalize you about half a second to slow down at the penalty line. So over here, these corners are really simple. Fly through there, stop around a quarter of the way through that. And with the stability of the racing hards, you'll be able to take this very quickly. Stop very quickly, take that corner. The penalty line is about a quarter of the way through this straight right here, which makes it really inconvenient if you're neck and neck with another CPU. It makes it very tough to catch up. Of course, as long as you're using the Red Bull, the amount of downforce you can draft behind somebody, get into the slipstream, and then delete the downforce and increase acceleration, and minimize your fuel consumption if you're smart. Although, of course, it's not going to matter if you're all the way this far ahead of people. Oh, okay, perfect. So that was the perfect amount of time through that turn sequence. Usually, like every single lap here so far has been a little bit slower, but that one was perfect. Hitting around 120 is the ideal with racing hards. You should be able to fly through there at 120, and your car will stick to the track very easily. And it'll spin out to give the computer something to think about. And that's it. Now, the good thing about this race, if you can get that clean lap bonus, you'll get just shy of a million. And it'll fill your your mile quota for the day. we'll spare you guys the replay, and we'll pop open that. We'll pop open that ticket, and then we'll switch games. That was the fastest and most I've talked in the middle of a game. My head is tired. It's like I'm refreshed, but I'm just like, oh, that felt good. Like ready for a nap. Welcome to the 25th anniversary. So I run that race basically on repeat, and it's about 58 laps. It's 58 miles per lap, or per run. 58 miles per race, 60 miles per race, and all of these laps, all of these miles are entirely that race. So you've got a 3-star roulette ticket. Let's see what they give us. Oh. Okay, so there's 3 different cars on the map. Alpine A110. 2 different BRZs, and of course they give us the absolute minimum amount of cash. 5,000 credits. Thanks, Gran Turismo. Alright. And I'll let you guys admire the livery. My Sailor Bull. I worked really hard on this livery, so I'm very, very proud of it. Alright. In any case, that is all for this tutorial. Thank you guys very much for watching. Please give this video a like and a subscribe if you like this content, and we will see you guys later. Oh man, it's so awkward talking into the camera. Hey!